Y'all know what time it is. What time it is? What is good, Bacon Bits? It is your boy. I'm back. Yeah, I took a little bit of a little while and everything to get to react to these videos, but don't worry, they're gonna be coming out more frequently. You're probably gonna get one today, and then tomorrow, and then the next day, because they're gonna be already done and recorded. So yeah, first thing first, I want to thank all of you guys for subscribing to the channel. If you're new, I know y'all enjoying the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared content coming to the channel. I appreciate y'all so much. If y'all here for the vibes, then hey, y'all know I'm y'all love my energy and I love it. Thank y'all so much. But another thing, I want to personally I want to thank Rim Games for making this series, because man, like low-key I've been waiting for him to like drop his videos so I can react to them and everything, because his theories blew my mind last time. This one's gonna be a little lengthy one because it's 26 minutes, so it's like up to the episode of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. So Rim Games, if you're watching, because you caught me off guard when you're commenting in my section, I appreciate that, fam. I'm not gonna lie. So I think this is the second episode because I went to Rim Games channel. By the way, go subscribe to him because he makes a lot of videos like these from what I saw. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So this video was right next to the video I reacted to. So I was like, okay, well, it's going to be, next or whatever. And he uploaded two more videos, I think. Two or three more. So we're going to react to all of them. But I wanted to react to this one. This is going to be 26 minutes. So, yeah, let's get into the video. Oh, Lord.
Well, I'm dead.
That's a mistake, isn't it?
Yeah, somebody's jealous.
Hello,
Jealous of me being dead.
Hello all, and welcome to episode 2 of this multi-part Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared theory series, where we explore every single thing we possibly can. If you haven't seen the first video, there's a link you can click up here on the top right-hand side of the screen to go do so, and I would recommend watching that one first if you haven't. In this episode, we are going to discuss the
Again, my man's editing is superb.
Idea of alternate versions of Red Guy, Yellow Guy, and Duck. While people can easily infer this based on this beautiful and not concerning drawer that Leslie has in her attic, we are, like always, going to take this a step farther. We take this so far, in fact, that this will be the longest and most in-depth video in this series, so strap in and keep all arms and legs inside the vehicle. In this show, there's a lot of what seems like memory loss. If we look at episode 5, the three bros take a little road trip to the wall, but miss it by a little bit and keep going. Anyway, they drive quite far and end up in what looks like a dump. The episode ends with Leslie bringing them back home, but the next episode, they never bring that up. Or how in episode 2, Duck says for Red Guy to talk about the tournament he won, but Red Guy doesn't know about any tournament, and then neither does Duck.
Tell them about the tournament.
I don't know about the tournament.
I won a tournament, didn't I?
Did you?
And even in the first episode, Red Guy doesn't really seem to know what's going on or what they did before.
Huh. I guess we stayed up all night talking again.
We can see that the characters experience a lot of memory loss, so let's write that on the blackboard. Here we go.
Alright.
Wait. What was I saying? Oh, yes, let's write that on the board. Now we see a common pattern, but what could that mean, and how could we figure that out? There are a few big moments that we need to consider. One of the most noticeable ones is in the final episode while Duck and Red Guy are walking through the dark looking at all the dead teachers. They specifically comment on the briefcase.
Oh dear. Was that always dead here?
No, wait, do we know him?
There is a clear lack of memory here, so let's write that down. The next big moment is the lack of conversation about them being in a dump that we mentioned earlier, so we can write that down too. The next thing we should consider, but sadly the most complicated one as well, is the ending of the show. Once Yellow Guy's batteries are swapped back into Electracy, yes, that's her name, Yellow Guy instantly forgets about what the book means or represents. This may seem normal, considering Yellow Guy is insanely forgetful, but this is insanely important. While yes, we established that Yellow Guy is forgetful and stupid, he is not that forgetful. If we go back to the Big Day song, Yellow Guy is able to keep up with everything that they are doing and spend between 57 to 59 seconds continuing to cook the shepherd's pie and get ready for this big day until he finally forgets what they're doing.
Big day.
What are we doing?
Also in this episode, Yellow Guy is able to leave Duck's funeral for about 13 minutes for us, and then still remember where they buried Duck to be able to dig him back. In episode 1, Yellow Guy is not only able to remember to do his job for 40 hours, but he also has a wife and a kid that we can see him actively not forgetting. Now, we could say that the book is just too smart for Yellow Guy to comprehend, so when he sees the shredder, he remembers what that does, but I still don't think so. Yellow Guy spends over 10 minutes away from the shredder, but he is still holding the...
I don't know. Okay, so here's my... You know, I'm gonna say it anyway. This is my theory because remember when they changed out the batteries? Well, they were like in the electricity episode, they were like, oh, you need new batteries to function better, and you know, if like we don't have batteries in, like, let's say, what do I have, a remote or whatever, it's not gonna function well, right? So when they changed the batteries out on the Yellow Guy, he became smarter. So when they changed the batteries out of Tracy, whatever her name is, he became more dumb and forgetful and not able to function correctly. So that's what I think.
Book when his batteries are swapped. He actively looks at the book to think about what it means, but what he knew only 5 seconds ago is gone. If you ask me, there's some intervention going on. Someone that finds a comedic side to this. Leslie is an interesting person in the show. First meeting her, she is a very uneasy presence with her cheery nature and colored stitches.
Yeah.
A very common idea is that Leslie has gone through some loss in her life. She has an entire monologue in episode 5 about a very specific scenario that ends with her screaming at Yellow Guy when he's hit by the car. We can also see that the main car is named Leslie and that Yellow Guy isn't her real son.
You're not my real son!
I'm not going to go into too much detail in this theory, considering how many people have gone over it, unless you guys want me to. But with this information and a few extra details, we can safely assume that Leslie's son David was fatally hit by Leslie's car, and her coping mechanism is through the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared dolls, and that Yellow Guy specifically is meant to replace David in one way or another. She also has an interesting sense of humor, laughing instead of answering questions and complaining that Yellow Guy can't see the fun.
You're not my real son. I just got a little bit. What the heck? Okay. Yeah, so when she had said, like, you're not my real son, is he a representation of her son? It's crazy.
Funny side.
You still can't see the funny side.
She seems to be somewhat of a sad clown type character, laughing at unfortunate events because that's all she can do anymore. There's one more thing I want to look at before making a final conclusion. Back in the first show, there seemed to be a main target for every episode. Yellow Guy was the sketchbook's least favorite student, even going to the extent of ruining his picture and making fun of his favorite color. In Love, Yellow Guy was not just the main target, but the only target. In Health, Yellow Guy was forced to eat Duck. In Dreams, Yellow Guy was once again the only target, being tortured by every teacher, including ones that didn't even show up yet. Now, in the latest show, Yellow Guy was the target for the job accident, and while something bad happened to Duck because of the care hound, it didn't last very long and was a lot less excessive than Yellow Guy's. In Death, Yellow Guy is the only character in distress about what's going on with Duck and never seeing him again. In Family, Yellow Guy is the target for the family until Roy steps in. In Friendship, Yellow Guy is once again the only target. In Transport, we see David as the target through Yellow Guy's eyes. This one is very important. We know that Yellow Guy represents David, and we know who is.
I didn't even notice the D
no
on his...
matter what, we know that Leslie is targeting Yellow Guy for some reason or another. we might be able to speculate that Leslie feels that since David was a target before, he always has to be now, but I don't think we have enough evidence to come up with a reason right now, so let's hold off trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Now, back to the book and this very strange series of events. Yellow Guy has the worst memory loss that he possibly could have had. A seemingly impossible...
Bro, I didn't even notice the D on his damn shirt. Like... I didn't even notice the D on his shirt. I just now noticed the D. Like...
memory
so
loss
slow.
based on previous events, and we know how Leslie always tortures Yellow Guy. So we can assume that there was some string pulling going on right here. I'm onto you, Leslie. I'm onto you. Anyway, let's keep this idea on the back burner and approach this later when we get some more information.
Okay.
Hey, are you gonna... You should take it off now. It looks ready.
I'm dead.
All right, it's starting to burn. Did you hear me? It's starting to burn. Hey, it's burning.
It'd be
It's
funny if
on
we could
fire!
interact with you.
Take it off! Oh, great. Look what you did. The fire department's gonna come and mess up my blackboard, and I'm gonna have to write everything again. All right, now that that's taken care of, let's go back to the idea of memory loss. So let's go back to the blackboard. We have written down here some vital times to look at. We have forgetting about what happened before the beginning of the show, the briefcase in episode 6, forgetting about episode 5, and now we can add one more. Yellow Guy forgetting about the book. Let's restructure this board so that all the events are in linear order. Now we can see this a bit better, but what could connect
What
all of
about
these dots?
forgetting about the
No,
dang-
not
the-
literally.
the
Come
blob?
on, let's get serious. Actually, that gave me an idea. Let's go back to the intro of the first 5 episodes.
Okay.
Let's put them all up like a game of spot the difference. I think we can easily say that these are all the same house, so we can just use one of the instances. There we go, less clutter. But if we play a game of spot the difference, we need something different. Let's use the house at the end of episode 5. There we go. Those are some good differences. All right, so let's see what we can find. The second house has a lot of details like wall protrusions that the old house doesn't have. The curtains are completely different.
The
There's only
yellow
one visible
drive-
tree, and there is a driveway on the second house that isn't present on the first one. This is very interesting. Let's remember that these two are very different. Now, let's change the houses we are looking at. Let's move the second house to the left and compare it to the intro house in the 6th episode. Right off the bat, these two houses look identical. We can see wall protrusions, the driveway, the new curtains, but there is something different. First house has all this yarn and furniture lying around. I think it's very possible
Pull
that
on
when
the
we see
string.
this dollhouse in episode 5, it's still under construction, and here we see a finished product. And if we go back to our blackboard, look at that. It fits perfectly in this space. In between episodes 5 and 6, the cast seemingly loses their memories of at least the previous day, right as the dollhouses switch. Let's see if there are any more patterns like that we can find. We have this spot here in episode 1 that talks about memory loss, and episode 1 is the first time we ever see any dollhouse, and the sets are completely different from the original YouTube show, so we can safely put that first dollhouse above it. Now we can write in dollhouse 1 and dollhouse 2 in their positions. But wait, we
Bro,
still
you're
have
getting
more spots to fill in,
chills.
forgetting about the briefcase and forgetting about the book. Both of these are going to be a lot harder to find, but not impossible. So let's think. Is there ever another dollhouse? Huh. Man, it feels like I'm losing my head here. Wait! You know what time it is? Let's play another Spot the Difference!
Okay.
Let's put up that first picture, Jaina.
It's sorry, up there.
Well, great. With this work ethic, you're getting a raise. Now,
Wait,
let's
he's
put
got
up the
4
picture of our
floors.
previous dollhouse. Ooh, this is a tricky one. Let's see what's different.
He's got 4
Contestant one,
floors.
any ideas?
Everything?
Congratulations!
Yeah.
You win! Wait, what? Seriously?
No, we got 4
my.
floors.
Almost everything is different with this dollhouse. For 1, it has 1 more floor than the last. 2, this one opens. 3, this one has round windows. This is weird. It's not the same dollhouse that we started the episode with, but yet we can see Red Guy and Duck inside the kitchen. But that's also not where they are, is it? Let's go back a few seconds. We can see Red Guy and Duck in a dark void with only a floor and random objects, plus a toilet for some reason. The floor tiling is the same as in the kitchen, but something is very different. We see the old teachers from the first show. Not only that, but the fridge they are leaning on while waiting for Yellow Guy is the intro fridge, not the current fridge in their kitchen. Wait, this episode didn't have an intro, did it?
It did
No,
not.
and we
No.
also don't see the sketchbook either. We see Roy and Tony the Talking Clock,
I didn't even notice Roy.
also his name, in the actual show, so this one isn't weird, but yes, it still is. We haven't seen Roy since episode 3, this version of Tony has the appendages, and all of these teachers are dead. Something is very different here. We only have unused props in this area, so what if this isn't the kitchen, but instead, it's Leslie's prop box? This would also help us understand where Red Guy may have gone at the end of the original episode 6, considering he's out of the show. One thing that's different is that Red Guy has an awakening first. But after watching this show, I don't think that what Red Guy saw was real. We see him with a whole bunch of different Red Guys, but we also see this in Red Guy's family hallucination before changing locations. I think this might have been the same type of thing in the old episode 6. Now, I know this is going back on a lot of what we thought about the YouTube show, but Red Guy also went from not existing, to being in a desk job, to being back in the normal show in a random, seemingly endless IKEA-style void. Especially considering this article right here.
Wait a minute.
We can see that based on this sentence right here, that Red Guy sequence was based on the actual experiences of the creators of the show. And for right now, I'm going to have to end that discussion here. But don't worry,
No.
we will go back to this
Okay.
in the next episode,
All
and I'll
right.
explain how this makes sense. Now back to the void. If this was a prop box, it doesn't seem to make sense why Red Guy and Duck would be in here. Why would they go from the house to a prop box and then back to the house? But what if I told you they went to a different house?
Yeah,
Oh boy.
that's what I was thinking.
You know what time it is. Spot the diff. No! Anyway, let's look at this picture from the middle of episode 6. Everything looks fairly normal in this kitchen so far, but let's also put up this picture of the kitchen while they are shredding the book. Can you see it? Right in the back, there is a painting of a horse. From the beginning
with
to the middle of
fires.
this episode, the horse is on fire, but in the final scene, the horse is perfectly normal. Not only that, but when
It's
Duck
like
is
disaster.
taking Yellow Guy's batteries and putting them back into Electracy, we once again see this fridge, and there is nothing similar with this layout. Like how Duck puts the batteries in Electracy while she is on the floor, but somehow she is magically waking back up while on the table. The next piece of evidence is with this final dollhouse. We can see Yellow Guy at the very top, but Leslie moves his doll to the kitchen. If these dolls were meant to be a voodoo type scenario where she can see them moving, Yellow Guy should have been transported into the kitchen, but instead, he stays in the attic for a while before finally leaving. There's something else with this dollhouse kitchen as well. Outside, we can see yarn and furniture, just like we saw with the previous dollhouse when it was under construction. She is still building the dollhouse and asks Yellow Guy to help her tidy up.
You help me tidy things up around here, and I'll help you.
You could also say that there's all this yarn because of the power lines, but then how would all the yarn end up outside of the dollhouse rather than being contained in the kitchen like we normally see it? Same with the furniture. One of the other biggest things we see is the lack of teachers. We can't even see the big or bigger boys. But how do we see Yellow Guy? Let's start with the first statement on the lack of teachers. We could easily assume that Leslie just doesn't have the dolls for the other teachers because she plays them. We see the GPS and Transport Man warning about what will happen if they go out too far in the 5th episode, and we see her actively making music upstairs. But the biggest thing is we see her name on the license plate for Transport Man. And while we could just say that the license plate was only symbolic for the idea that Leslie hit David with her car, but Leslie's whole thing is that she runs the episodes and writes the songs. And the only way to do that is by playing the teachers. It would also make sense with the repetition of voice actors for these characters because Leslie can only do certain voices. Now, this doesn't yet tell us if we would be able to see the teachers that she plays, but we can also answer this. At the end of the 5th episode, even though the 3 main characters burn the car, Leslie has a new version of Transport Man that she drives all the way back home. We physically see a teacher at the dollhouse. This would also help us explain that this is a new dollhouse that is currently being finished, if we not only don't see the other characters besides Yellow Guy, Red Guy, and Duck, but also don't see any of the teachers that we see in this episode. Now, the biggest question is, how would Yellow Guy be in the attic with Leslie if he wasn't also meant to be in the attic of the dollhouse as we see him? Well, it's like we saw before. Leslie can move the characters around as much as she wants, but there's a reason that some of them do not move when she does so.
Okay,
now,
hold on, wait a minute.
how
Okay, I just thought of something. Okay. So, in episode 6, there was a part where, like, the yellow guy was going up. So, did he go to a new house? That's what I'm thinking about. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. Because in episode 6, we saw him walk up some stairs. So, was he already... I don't know.
How could we ever figure out what this means? How could we ever figure out what are the requirements or constraints on the doll's actual movements? Well, by looking closely. No! What we need for this is 2 moments. The yellow guy's exploration in episode 6, the dollhouse scene in episode
That's
6,
exactly
and
what I
the
was
road
thinking
trip
about.
sequence in episode 5. Let's start with the road trip. Here we see the entire crew break through the wall of the dollhouse and drive away, even though they are quote-unquote not allowed to leave.
I want to get out of this place.
That's not allowed.
While they drive, both the transport man and the GPS tell them not to go where they are going.
Okay, back home it is.
I'm not supposed to be out this far.
There is no intervention from Leslie, and eventually they end up in a dump because they went out too far, and Leslie had them replaced. There is clearly an extent to how much
I had a
Leslie can
feeling
control
about
here,
that.
but let's continue. In episode 6, we can see Yellow Guy exploring the house, even going through the dark hallways, which we've already seen that the dark is important somehow. In episode 6, we can also see Yellow Guy and Leslie moving the dolls into the dark room, but nothing changes for anybody yet. Duck and Red Guy are still in the prop box, and Yellow Guy is still in the attic. They are meant to be in the work-in-progress dollhouse, but some requirement is still not met yet. Let's take a look at what we have that's important. The dolls can move on their own without the control of Leslie, and something is up with the dark. Well, let's consider that last point for a second. How do Duck and Red Guy first get transported to the prop box? The power goes out and they are in the dark, but specifically in a room that cannot be powered. We can also know exactly when they go to this new dollhouse. When the power turns back on, the entire prop box goes back to being a kitchen, but the painting is different to indicate the new dollhouse. We know that something is important for when the power comes back on, but the exact same can't be said for when the power goes out. Right when the power goes out in episode 6, we can see the background behind them just dimly lit. But when we go back to Red Guy and Duck, we can see them in what seems like an endless dark void with no walls and none of the furniture to be found. There is furniture, but it's different. The transition to the prop box doesn't happen instantly, but we know it happens. One of the biggest indicators that can tell us what's happening is when Leslie tries to turn on the light in the dollhouse and
just
says
flips off.
this.
There. Now everything's in its proper place. I shall have to get that fixed.
It's not Duck who needs to fix it, it's Leslie. A lot of us consider them to be in a time loop, but we do see the dates change in between these 2 seasons, so I don't think that's quite it. I think we are just showing that there are different versions of them, rather than it being a time loop. With everything we've gathered, I think it's safe to assume that every time there's an alternate version of the cast, it's when they switch dollhouses, and the switch is only activated when the power is on. This fits our sequence perfectly. Every time they forget what previously happened is when they switch dollhouses, and we seem to have figured out the criteria to allow a switch, and this would explain exactly how Yellow Guy isn't in this new dollhouse yet, and it's because it isn't complete and not powered. Not even Leslie is in there yet because she isn't in the attic. This makes perfect sense for how they don't remember the briefcase, but there are still a few problems with this. If this were the case, how do they remember Stain Edwards, the Forever Boy, in episode 6? How did they remember Elect Tracy after being reset in episode 6? And how does Yellow Guy know about the attic with both versions of him being reset? Well, let's start with Stain. Let's play the clip. Now, this is a problem, but it isn't really. There's a few seconds I cut out of this clip just so I can point them out for you now so that you can look at them when we go back to it. Now, let's play the full clip. This little guy is confirmed to be Stain Edwards, the Forever Boy, and he is currently in the house while they are reminiscing, and they both know that they are experimenting on him. They are aware of what the other versions of Duck and Red Guy are doing. While we would assume that this would make them concerned about everything in this episode, they are.
What's happening here? Today has gone all wrong. This is wrong.
They constantly say throughout this episode that everything is all wrong, and we see them develop a love for electricity just like how the bigger boys are experimenting with it. We even see a part of Stain that is in this new dollhouse to show that the teachers and other characters have to be in these dollhouses.
Ram, you're getting me, man.
Let's
What the
move now
hell?
to the next question. How do they remember Elect Tracy? Well, same reason. Elect Tracy is in the house after the reset. But finally, how would Yellow Guy remember about upstairs? Well, not only have we seen the music box start winding at the beginning of every episode, but we also see the backdrop. We know that Leslie is the one who starts the music box, and we know that the back wall of the attic is the backdrop of the dollhouse. Now, this doesn't help us remember how Yellow Guy remembers still, if the reason that Red Guy and Duck remember Stain is because a version of them are in the same room as him. Well, this is pretty easy. Batteries run out. At some point, they are more charged than how they currently are. Yellow Guy was once smart. Yellow Guy's batteries were once charged more than they are now, which means that Yellow Guy was once smart. He went upstairs and met Leslie before, but without receiving a book. In the next episode, we'll talk all about the book, so I'll explain everything related to this in that episode. Okay. Slowly, Yellow Guy's battery started depleting, and he can't remember the upstairs as well as he used to, as we hear him say during the intro to episode 5.
I'm the one who had a dream where there was stuff like there was another me, and everything was lots of fun, and I went and saw the other ones, and there was a little lumpy one and another windy middle one, and there were things that they had around that I knew what they were, but I don't know now, and then it went away.
Now, this would only be a good explanation if the dolls didn't keep getting reset. How would this explain him remembering through the reset? Well, that question can be answered by looking at episode 4. While we go into Yellow Guy's ear and approach his brain, we can see multiple wires, and when looking at the X-ray diagram of Yellow Guy's head, we can see that his brain is powered by electricity. He remembers because his brain is powered by electricity, unlike Red Guy and Duck. But we can still look at one more thing to help us here. Let's look at when Yellow Guy gets his new batteries. He goes through some trippy business in these few seconds, but what if we actually look at what he sees? He's able to see a road, a car, and even what looks to be some sort of sirens. He is able to see David's death. I'll dive more into what this means for the characters in the next episode as well, but right now, all we care about is that he can see David's death. He can see things that other versions of himself witness, just like how he always remembers the attic. But how does he not instantly remember everything once his batteries swap back? Well, for that, we can just think about how the brain works. We can see that he has a normal, non-electric brain, just as he has bones, warts, bite wounds, and even blood. Just like with other muscles, when you don't use your brain, it starts to get weaker. When much of the brain is unused for a long period of time, the cells that establish specific connections start to lose those connections and the brain shrinks. This new smart Yellow Guy needs to once again establish these connections that we see dumb Yellow Guy lose by saying he doesn't remember anything about the upstairs. Even Duck is able to remember his shredder because it's powered by electricity, which was the topic of conversation with Elect Tracy. This is how Yellow Guy is still able to slightly remember the attic. This is why everyone else loses vital memories. This is why the dolls don't instantly move when Leslie moves them in the dollhouse. This is why the dollhouse keeps changing, and this is how we know that there are alternate versions of these characters. Holy balls, Scoob! In the next episode, I will be going into exactly what this means for the book, and I will also be making a part 2 video for the symbols based on a lot of questions that people have come up with in the comments, and it will feature a special guest that can tell us exactly how Yellow Guy's name is so long, and even where the hyphen is. So don't forget to click that bell icon after subscribing to get notified.
Rim Games, you got me, bro. You got me. You got me intrigued. You are a mad genius. Oh my God. When you went back, it was like, remember when he said the song, I was like, oh my God, he did say, he was explaining the next, bro. That's why and you know what's so crazy, when I was watching Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, I kept saying, oh, pay attention to the thing. But you know what, I was paying attention to the little details, like the pictures, and like, you know, we knew it was more dialogue in the, like the songs they would sing, but I didn't think about the song he sung in the episode, and he was foreshadowing the episode. Wow, bruh. And the houses and everything, like, that was the one thing. That's why I was so confused. Like, after I got done with the series, I'm like, bro, like, I gotta go look at people's theories, man. Like, for real, because I was confused. I'm like, well, let's talk about episode, I think it was 2. Then I thought the blob killed the duck, but I guess the blob did. I don't know. So much but yeah, we got like so many episodes to watch. I cannot wait to watch next episode and the book episode. I saw that he uploaded the book episode today, and I wanted to react to that immediately, but I was like, no, we're not going to skip an episode because I'm going to be upset. We got 3 minutes. No, we don't. He's not natural. But yeah, guys, go check out Rim Games. This dude is insane, for real. Like, the theories man, it's just, it gave me goosebumps at one part of the thing. That's why I didn't pause it. That's why I stopped pausing, because I was like, I want to listen to everything, because if I forget, I'm going. But yeah, guys, y'all get it. Guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Link of the original video will be in the description down below. I'll see you guys either 2 days from now with the part 2 or next. I don't know. It'll be uploaded though. But yeah, guys. See y'all later. Peace.